Okay, so I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you, okay? If my mind gets a little bit foggy, it's because I am getting sick. I feel it. I can feel it. I can feel a cold coming. You might be able to hear it in my voice, but I'm going to try my best to get through this video. No try. No try. There is no try, okay? Like Yoda said, there is no try. I am going to get through this video. We're going to talk about Dejounte Murray and the interest that the Spurs have.
I want some rest. Are we having fun yet?
All right, so Shams he dropped a bomb today. He dropped an absolute bomb, and best believe Twitter lost their everlasting minds. So now before we listen to this, comment right now, okay? Algorithm, it always helps. Just comment. Yoda said to do it. I don't know. Just Yoda. He said to do it. Star Wars. I don't know anything. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. Just put something in the comments. It helps the video out. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to Shams and what he has to say about this situation, because there's been so many people taking this, not actually watching any of the clips, and just saying San Antonio Spurs interested in Dejounte Murray. So let's listen to what he actually said.
To see exactly how his market shakes out. But one team that has a level of exploratory interest, I'm told, is his former team, the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs obviously building around Victor Wembanyama, Devin Vassell, among their young talent, budding young talent. They have a stable of draft assets as well. They have a ton of draft picks moving forward, and I think they're going to take a very patient approach in their building process. There's not a real level of urgency of going out there immediately, but they're going to be patient, and I think they will be. They're going to pick and choose exactly the spots, whether that's this season, in the summer, next season. They have a runway. They don't. There's not a real urgency, but they have a runway to make things happen potentially if they want to. So that is interesting. You're a resident.
Now, I'm going to only take away my thoughts on this, okay? This is my take on it. And before you look, people are already probably commenting something like, oh, I want them, or oh, of course you wouldn't want them, Clan. You already know where this is going, right? But I'm going to try my best to give you my argument on this entire situation and how I feel about it. So first and foremost, from what he said that there's exploratory interests. And I'll be honest with you, I would be quite not only shocked, but disappointed in the San Antonio Spurs if they show no exploratory interest, a level of exploratory interest. Obviously they should. I mean, the San Antonio Spurs right now, Brian Wright, he's sitting on his throne with all his draft picks. There's so many different things that he can make happen, whether it be a 3-team trade, whether it be maybe possibly getting more assets. I have no idea what this will look like. But when it comes to a team having interest, the thing that I get a little upset about, and as long as I've been doing this and we've been covering so many different reports on certain things, I get frustrated when people just make the overarching statement that this team wants this player, or this team wants this player, when we're not even at that point yet. And I feel like with Spurs fans in particular, we do that a lot. And I don't think that this is any type of evidence that the Spurs want Dejounte Murray, rather than they are exploring all different facets that they can. I mean, we know that they're going to want a point guard before the draft. I mean, we know this, with the Emmanuel Quickley stuff coming out, and obviously with the trade deadline, there's no way that the Spurs don't at least inquire about some guys, just to have somebody as a placeholder, or just to be here for a couple years, some type of vet that will help out the team. So I have no doubt in my mind that this is true, that they have some type of exploratory interest in Dejounte Murray. Obviously, you should explore that, and you should see what you personally could get out of this. Now, with that being said, I want to make an argument for 3 different things, okay? One, going to be briefly, business side of it. That's my argument. I don't think business side of it is going to work. I want to make an argument for culture, and then I want to make an argument for what people actually care about, what it would look like on the court having Dejounte Murray with this team currently. So business side of it, I don't like it. He's making right now, or extension is $120 million. We already know that the Spurs at the time of getting ready to trade him, they didn't want to do they couldn't do an early extension because he wouldn't get paid that much if they did an early extension. So they said, hey, not only did they kind of facilitate this where they could bring up his market value by having his usage rate so high, him making an all-star game and all that good stuff, but they also had the foresight to say, we're not going to pay, like, eventually thinking $200 million, which if he would have stayed with the Spurs, that's exactly what his max, it would have looked like that. Like, there's no way it wouldn't have, because he would have continued to put up, impressive numbers and increase his market and asking price for us, and it would have decreased his price for other teams because they would have saw him more so as a 1-year rental or something like that, right? So the Spurs traded him at the perfect possible time that they could. But with that being said, I don't necessarily think it's a good idea for the Spurs to just go all out and basically pay $30 million for Dejounte Murray, who's right now currently underperforming what he's getting paid. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, what the contract that the Spurs had him on, he played up to it. Like, obviously he played up to it. It was a really great team-friendly contract, but now he's not worth what I think some Spurs fans think he's worth. Okay, so business side of it, don't think it makes a lot of sense. You're gonna have to get rid of somebody. I'm not really willing to give up, Keldon Johnson for DeJounte Murray or anything like that. I'm not. That's just me. I wouldn't do that. You gotta give me something a little bit more. But when it comes to this exploratory interest, this can mean 3-team trades. This can mean so many different things. And of course, as Sham said, the Spurs are going to be patient. They're going to relax. They're going to kind of see, what does it look like out there? What can we get out of this? And that's how they should do it. And they've been very smart over the last 2 years. I know I get accused of being a San Antonio Spurs organization homer. That's not true. Good moves, I like it. Bad moves make me sad. That's it, okay? And the Spurs been making a lot of good moves nonetheless. I'll just be real, okay? I'm also a Cowboys fan, and if you know anything about me, you know that I will criticize the crap out of them. I have for many of years now, but my Spurs, they're pretty solid franchise if you ask me. Now, with that being said, business side, I don't really like it. Cultural side. So I don't understand Spurs fans' perspective on this. So when it comes to Jeremy Sohan, there's so many people that are upset about him, personality-wise even, in the Spurs fan base, and they don't like him, and they're like, screw this guy. He's jealous of Wemby, all this great stuff. But then when it comes to Dejounte, it's like all of that is just thrown out the window. We don't remember all the cultural things. Now, I think some people, which I won't go through everything, okay? I won't. It's too much. It's way too much to go over. But I think some people think that, well, all he did was just post that one thing in the comments about how the Spurs are going to lose 15 years. It's like, no, dude. When he said that the Spurs are going to lose for 15 years, he was talking to Keldon Johnson too. I mean, Keldon Johnson is on this team. He played with him. Devin Vassell's on this team. He was talking about all these guys that they're gonna lose. Not saying it directly, but he always gives just enough so he can gaslight it. like he always has it when he says something. It's always to the point that he could gaslight it and say, I didn't mean it that way. He does this with everything. When it comes to culture, if he wanted to sit on the bench, or if the Spurs had him sit on the bench, he got upset. All right. When they had Derek White start, when LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan and the team as a whole wanted Derek White to start because they say, oh, he gets us at our spots a little bit better and all that good stuff. He got upset. He unfollowed everybody on the team. He instantly took point guard out of his bio. It was a lot of weird stuff going on. And this is a continuous occurrence. He dissed the front office while being with the team. The whole situation with when Primo was first. I mean, I know Josh Primo, but when he was drafted, he instantly went to Twitter and once again did just enough so he can gaslight us and do the cringe emoji and say, I didn't mean anything by that, right? When it was MIP, he posted his stats and said I should have got MIP and basically disrespected other people that could have gotten MIP. It's a lot of stuff like that. It was a lot of me. Culturally, I don't think that he's a good fit. I just don't. Okay, I'll be being honest in that. I don't think that he's a good fit. There's so many different things that I can pull to. Also, when it comes to culture, and then I'll get into obviously basketball perspective and my opinion on that. But culturally, I don't get this. Okay, so my team right now, all right, my San Antonio Spurs, every single player on this team, I am fully convinced, as bad as they've played, I am fully convinced that they will do whatever it takes to win, no matter what. I am not convinced that way with Dejounte Murray. So with Jeremy Sohan, he'll come off the bench. He'll play any role that the coaching staff asks of him. He's not going to diss any of his teammates. He's going to do whatever he possibly can. Even Keldon Johnson, as much as I criticize him, I think Keldon Johnson does not mind coming off the bench. I don't think he minds playing any type of role that the team needs him. Even Wemby, as great as he is, as wonderful as he is, as generational as he is as far as a talent, he does not mind taking on a different role if they needed him to be. If he had to be a full-on facilitator, he will do it. Winning always comes first. But when it comes to Dejounte, especially from what we've seen, he wants to win, but only if it's his way, if you get what I'm saying. Like, for instance, when he was with the Atlanta Hawks, he was in an elimination game, and in that elimination game, pushed the ref. Shouldn't have done that, got suspended, they lost. So that's something where it's like you're not doing everything you possibly can to win. Funny enough, last time he was with the San Antonio Spurs, I don't want to be, because this really does sound like I'm just hating. I'm just being honest here. He choked. He absolutely choked. When we're talking about the New Orleans game, in order to try to make it to the playoffs, he choked. That was the last game that Spurs fans saw of him, but yet and still, they're crazy about this. So, all right, so those are my takes right there. As far as culture, business side, doesn't really matter. I know culturally, people are not going to really care about that. That just sounds like I'm complaining. But if I'm just talking about it objectively, okay, because just because your character might be kind of, weird or out of whack, doesn't mean that you can't be a great player. Well, guys, I got news for you. Dejounte Murray is not necessarily the same player that he was when he was with the San Antonio Spurs. And even that version of Dejounte Murray, I don't think gels well with Wembanyama. So what do I mean by that? Well, first and foremost, we can just go ahead and talk about facilitation. So if I'm just trying to think about every single thing that I've heard today, as far as what people think that you're going to get out of Dejounte Murray. They said, well, he'll gel with Wemby because he's such a great facilitator. Dejounte Murray with us, it was a lot of dump-off passes to Jakob Poeltl. That's what that was. His usage, even if you look at frequently made percentage, this just mean like the passes, who did he go to, what frequency in which he went to, who. Jakob Poeltl was 19%, Keldon was 16%, Derek White, 13%, nearly 13%. There's kind of a jump off there. Lonnie, 9. Devin, 9, because I saw some, or 10, and then 9. Some people brought up how Devin Vassell had this great chemistry with DJ. Not necessarily. I don't know where that narrative really came from. It might have came from that last game that I just mentioned, New Orleans, because Devin went off. Then you have Doug McDermott, 9, and then there's an obvious jump off from there. There's that 9 to 4% to Thaddeus Young. But if we go over to Trey Jones, you can see that his distribution numbers after DJ had left was actually a little bit more impressive. Even though he had a usage rate of about 19% versus Dejounte Murray's usage rate of 27%, he yet and still averaged only a couple assists worse. So very impressive there. And you can see here that his percentages, Keldon 17, or nearly 18, but 17, Jakob 15, Devin Vassell 11, 10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 4, 3, very even all the way through. Like, it's a very nice gradual decrease there as far as who he was getting the ball and how he was distributing. Now, with that being said, for the argument that Dejounte Murray right now with this team, he's going to be the ultimate distributor and he'll be able to really get people to their spots, he never was that type of player. And I don't necessarily know where that narrative has come from. I don't know where people got that from. But when he was with the Spurs, he was a good pick and roll guy. I've seen some people say that, well, what about when he was with LaMarcus Aldridge? When he was with LaMarcus Aldridge, it was the same thing. He was good pick and roll, not great pick and pop. And with somebody as versatile as Victor Wembanyama, you're going to have to find him in so many different spots. And I just don't believe, and the numbers have backed this up as well, I don't believe that Dejounte Murray is that better of a distributor than even Trey Jones. So if Trey Jones isn't having as much success as we would like for him to even have, what makes us think that Dejounte Murray coming is going to save the day as a distributor? He's never been that type of player. So what is Dejounte Murray really great at? Well, what he's really great at is mid-range shooting. That's what he's good at. He doesn't give a lot of rim pressure. He's not good at finishing around the rim, but he's good at mid-range shots. Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. But we have a guy that's already great at that. We have Devin Vassell. And I feel as if you have Dejounte Murray right now. One thing that a lot of people are upset about, right, is when we get screens from Wemby, all other teams have to do is go under the screen. They do it with Sohan, they do it with Trey Jones, but with Dejounte Murray, they do the same thing with him in Atlanta. They go under the screens all the freaking time. I don't think that him coming to the team, he'll be that much of a better distributor than Trey Jones. That's not me saying that Trey Jones is like so much better than DJ. I don't believe that. I don't. Okay, DJ is obviously a better player, but I think that from what people are expecting they will get out of DJ, I think you can get that in other ways. You can get that with other players. You can get people that would actually fit and gel with this team better than Dejounte Murray. Dennis Schroeder is one player that comes to mind, and he's only $12 million. So, and with DJ, I don't know what the asking price will be, but you're probably going to give away or give back a couple of their first round picks, which with the direction the Atlanta Hawks are going in, I wouldn't want to do that. I'll be completely honest. I don't think that's a good idea. So there's that. Now, here's some other things that came to mind for me. So a lot of people also bring up how Dejounte Murray defensively, he's going to really help, right? He's such a good defender. Not this season. If you actually go and you watch him with the Atlanta Hawks, it's a revolving door. Like he doesn't play. He's never been a point of attack defender, but he's not playing great defense. You can look at the stats and you can say, oh, well, what about the steal numbers? Which I will always agree, like, yeah, steal-wise, it's good, but there's been a drop-off from being in San Antonio. But still, like, steal-wise, yeah, he can get a steal here and there, but for the most part, him as a defender, an on-ball defender, it has not been pretty. And with the Atlanta Hawks, this is another thing that kind of confuses me a little bit. We all can agree, right? I think we all can agree that Trae Young is a better player than Wembanyama. When it's all said and done, he won't be. But right now, today, Trae Young is an established superstar, right? And Dejounte Murray is an established player in his own right. But how come when he went to the Atlanta Hawks, it didn't make any type of difference whatsoever? I just have a feeling that if he came to the Spurs, the issues that we already have will still be apparent. I know a lot of people are saying, well, he can get those lobs to Wemby. How often do you recall Dejounte Murray being that type of player to give lobs to Wemby? It's just so many different arguments that I'm hearing for Dejounte Murray, but it's sounding like a completely different player that we even watch, that we even pay attention to. But I did notice that when he went to Atlanta Hawks, it didn't necessarily make them any better, even though he was playing with a phenomenal talent in Trae Young, and he is an established all-star going to that team. It made no difference whatsoever. And if they can't make that work right now, at least in the short term, I don't see why you would think that him coming to the San Antonio Spurs will help us right now. So all different aspects, I don't think it works. I don't think it works as a business sense. I don't think it works culturally. I don't know why Spurs fans want him culturally, and I don't think it works as far as on the court. He's just not the player that I think a lot of people are making him out to be. Now, there's a tweet that I came across, and I couldn't agree more. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Gabe is, you need to follow Gabe, by the way. His takes are phenomenal when it comes to the Spurs. He's always giving great takes. I don't think me and him have ever talked personally, but I really like his. I am a fan. Gabe, if you're watching this, I am a fan from afar, my friend. But let's see if we can find it. yeah, so this is what he had to say, and he was arguing with people. I won't even go through my arguments. It gave me a headache. But this is what he had to say. This would be an awful decision. He's a bad basketball fit, and per the words of him and others, not the best culture fit either. A production hasn't matched the price. That is true. You go down here, let's just see some of the reactions that he has. This is a funny response. Respectively disagree. If Murray was enthusiastic about returning to the Spurs, then he'd immediately help a young team in need of viable veteran leadership, especially at the point guard position. Top free agents don't flock to San Antonio, and Spurs need a boost beyond the draft. And he says, Dejounte Murray, the only possible player that they could draft or something. Absolutely, or trade or something. Absolutely true. Also, yeah, I don't buy into this. This is just what frustrates me. It's like on paper, I understand it. Dejounte Murray is very talented. On paper, I get it. He's a veteran. He's a veteran point guard, right? On paper. But if you actually watch him play nowadays, it's not what you think it is at all. He would not fit with San Antonio. He wouldn't. He just wouldn't. It was a completely different team. Back then, he needed kind of a Jakob Poeltl that he can dump the ball off to. But when it comes to his team right there, when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks, one thing that I also notice is that you have Trae Young, who always makes players better, right? Usually players are pretty doggone good when they play with him. John Collins, they look pretty doggone good next to Trae Young. But Trae Young didn't make DeJounte look any better, even though his usage was also very high. He's kind of the same player. If not digressed when it comes to defense, on-ball defense, that is. All right, so anyways, let's see. What are some of the other things that we saw in here? He just has some really good rebuttals in here. I'm sorry. Here we go. Why do you say bad basketball fit? I'm asking honestly. Oh, that's nice. He said he doesn't put pressure on the rim and is an awful finisher. And while it's improved in Atlanta, still needs the ball in his hands to be effective. That's another thing I didn't bring up. Yeah, he's ball dominant. He's very ball dominant. I had one person arguing with me about that because I said, yeah, he's a ball dominant point guard. And they were like, every point guard is ball dominant. That's not what ball dominant means. Like, no, that's not what it means. I mean, you can be Trae Young, where he's ball dominant, but he's so elite when it comes to his facilitation and shooting skills till it's like, we throw that out the window, right? It's fine that you're ball dominant. But really good, really good point guards can make things happen with the ball, not necessarily in their hands all the time. Trae Young is a bad off-ball player, don't get me wrong, but with the ball in his hands, he's elite. And if the Spurs fans were saying, hey, let's go ahead and go all in on Trae Young, let's give away some draft picks for Trae Young, I'm for that. I understand that. But DeJounte, I don't really see it. I feel like you're getting a middle of the road type of player for no reason, giving away those picks again. And then he says the last thing San Antonio needs is a ball dominant point guard that can't generate rim pressure or at least shoot at an elite level. So yeah, I would add and facilitate an elite level. So I'm just being honest. These are my thoughts. Gabe always brings the heat, so go follow Gabe. I'm rambling at this point. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I am right now. All I know is Dejounte Murray comes to the Spurs is an awful idea. Not a good idea. If you're confused about anything I had to say, I know I probably rambled in the middle of it. And if you're confused, I'll comment, whatever. Let me know what your questions are. But those are my thoughts. Don't get them. It's silly. It's dumb. It won't work. But at the same time, I am for them keeping their ears open to see if there's any opportunity for maybe a 3-team trade or something like that could happen. But being patient nonetheless. Don't just throw away your first round picks. They're very important. Anyways, I'll get with you guys later. Till next time. Bye.